Well, hello tree gardeners, welcome back. So today's video is kind of piggybacking off of Saturday's video. I got some great questions online of exactly how to trim the palm trees. My last video I mentioned to you guys when to trim, a general outline of how to trim, and then of course when to use the fungicide. And so today's video I want to show you an example of exactly how I trim my palm trees. I'm going to do this a little bit in advance because I wanted you guys to kind of have all the information, and when it's time to trim and take care of this stuff, you really do have just a really good understanding. So I'm going to pick about 3 different varieties of palm trees in my garden to kind of hopefully help you understand the different ways to trim, because you want to be less aggressive when it comes to the trimming right now. That's going to be something that can really hurt your tree. So I want to make sure that everybody has really good information on their particular tree species and the best way to absolutely do that. So right now we're going to focus on one of my favorite trees in the garden. It's the Loquala palm. I'm very, very sad to see this one in the shape that it's in. So I'm going to share with you guys exactly what I'm going to do to it and the next steps after that. The next one is going to be more of an upright tree, and kind of it's a different type of trimming pattern. You'll see it's kind of the same concept. It's to protect the same area, but it's going to be a little bit different. And then the last tree that we're going to look at today is again, it's a similar kind of concept, but you're going to notice that I'm going to leave more fronds and the reasons why I leave the fronds. And then I'm going to apply the liquid copper to all 3 of these trees, because this is the perfect time to do it right after trimming. You can do it that day, you can do it within a couple days, but you kind of want to make sure to go ahead and take care of that as quickly as possible, because now you have full access to that tree. So in general, most of my plants and trees I'm going to trim in a couple weeks, but I wanted to share with you guys some early on trimming. So if there's still time to wait, there's still time where these fronds are producing spikes, so I probably wouldn't naturally trim this early, but I'm getting so many questions about it, and I'm seeing so many overly trimmed palms on Instagram and things that are coming along that I'm really worried that you guys are really causing a little bit more harm than good by over trimming these trees. So this is my professional opinion on how I'm going to do it and maintain my trees after this frost. You guys take it as you like, but in my situation, I've always had really, really good success in this particular way of trimming. So, all right, so let's get started. So as you can see, we got some serious brown fronds here. I mean, these are so crispy, they are ready to go. So when I'm working with the lower section, this area right here in the middle, this is our crown, this is our delicate, this is like the sweet spot of a tree. You need to make sure that this little area right here is protected. This frond that I'm getting ready to cut has nothing to do with that. It's nice and low. As a tree produces fronds from the inside, it pushes out the older fronds and everything kind of flares outwards. The fronds that are the most protective are the ones that are closest to it. So when I said leave a little bit of frond in that particular case to kind of protect that center spike, that's kind of what I meant. You want to kind of just leave that protected. So first thing I'm going to do, and you guys, this is the time to do this. You want to spray with some alcohol. You want to spray and make sure that every tree, you're not transferring anything. So I've got my natural spray there. And I'm going to go ahead and take this one and leave very little of this frond, because this frond, again, it's not protecting anything. So I'm going to take that. Same with this lower one, not protecting anything at this point. So this guy is coming off. Same with this one here. As we work our way closer, you'll notice that I'm a little bit more selective of how to cut these. Now, I don't necessarily need this, nor do I want this frond on here, because I don't want to kind of attract any kind of bugs or fungus or any kind of bacterial infection. So I do want this gone, but I do need a little bit more protection in case we get wind blowing in this area. You can leave 4 to 6 inches or so of frond just to kind of protect this middle section right here. So these next fronds, I'm going to leave more. See, now this one's a little iffy. I think I can take this one off completely and not need it. This one right here, you can see that this kind of stem right here is still protecting this crown a little bit. So we're going to leave it in place and just take off that top. This one's doing the same thing. And this one here, So think of it almost like a splint. You kind of want a little bit of protection right here to keep these fronds from this little center area from getting damaged. This is your new growth. This is your life of the tree. So this is kind of what you want to protect. Now I've seen growers kind of put this almost like a splint situation where they go ahead and tie these together and connect. I don't really want to keep anything too tight right now. I don't want an area where fungus can be trapped. I don't want moisture in there. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave it just like this. And you're going to say, well, what are these possibly going to do for you? Believe it or not, you know, all it takes is a windstorm tonight to blow things and hit this little guy. It's a very delicate situation right now. So kind of protecting it from anything that could just kind of create a barrier for anything that could kind of hit this middle area. That's the whole reason why you're going to leave these. In a few months, I can take these right back down as this canopy starts to, you know, come into its own, and hopefully, you know, we're safe to do so. And then the next step is I've got some liquid copper in this. Because this is a short tree, I'm not going to use my sprayer. For those of you guys who are doing this just like I am, the thing that you're going to want to do is I've got a 2-gallon jug right here. I'll link it. It's in my Amazon storefront. I love this 2-gallon jug, especially if I'm spot treating areas. This is a perfect little thing to have because you can treat 2 to 3 trees with this. And I'm just going to pour it inside and really get in there. I'm gonna shake my vermiliad to the bottom because I don't want liquid copper in there. Unfortunately, it happens to be attached to this tree. And these guys, as much as I like them, I'm more concerned about this Laquala palm than those guys. So you wanna kind of keep the liquid copper away from them if at all possible. But in this particular case, this is the tree that I'm really trying to save. So I'm gonna have to cut my losses with those if I have to. But so you pour it right into that center, right into that crown. The good thing about this crown, as I tested it, I can pull on this and it's not coming out easy. This is not moving. You can tell it's really attached in there. There's no foul smell coming out of it. I see no bleeding on the trunk. I think this tree is going to make it. Fingers crossed that I've hit it in enough time between the previous application of liquid copper and the application right now, and then the trimming. Hopefully we're golden. The next one, I'm not sure that's the case. Come take a look at that with me. All right, you guys, so we are now back at my other Laquala palm. This has been a beauty for so long. It's so sad to see her in this situation, but this is where we're at right now. I am not sure this tree is going to come back, even though it does have a couple green fronds on it. I'm not hopeful, and I'll tell you why in a second. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to spray down my Felcos. Excuse me, Red. And then I'm going to trim away just like I did the others. So anything that's low and really not offering much protection, I'm going to go ahead and trim and get out of the way so it is not harboring any disease or fungus. And you can see the ones that I'm looking for are ones that are still fairly low. This one has some green to it, so even though it's low, I am going to keep this one here, because thank goodness it's offering a little bit of green. This one right here is kind of still offering protection in this middle area, and so is this one. So I'm going to leave it, this one too. This one is nice and low, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that guy out of here. Same with this guy, way down here, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this guy out of here. All right, so what I was saying earlier is that this tree is not showing good signs of growth. There's no spike, there's no green, there's nothing coming out of this center area. And what was a spike prior to the frost was this guy right here. And you can tell this was going to be a frond that was opening up, but it was so fragile and it hit probably right at the time of the freeze that it is doing this now. So it's loose. If I pull on it a tiny bit, it's coming out, which means that the center of the tree, the heart of the tree, is more than likely dead. So I don't have a lot of hope for this lovely girl here, unfortunately. I am going to go ahead and trim some of the fronds away from it, of the heart. Just to kind of get some of this weight off of the tree. and then leave the 2 remaining green fronds that are here. It's hard to tell with palm trees, you know, because you can have some green that's here, like the other tree did not have green, but it had a tight centered stalk. So it's funny how you can tell, even though this seems like it has a better chance of living because of the heart, because of the crown that's gone, it lets you know that reproducing a new frond is going to be very unlikely. With the exception, and I've seen this happen, that is the top spear, that was the top of the heart. There may be more of that frond inside here. And so what we're trying to do is we're going to try to promote that frond to pop out of the center. There may be some life still in here. If you do not treat it at this point, there'll be no chance of it coming back because it's so damaged. And there's such a hole in that area that fungus, bacteria, our bugs are going to start boring inside of it, and it's going to start to get mushy and smelly, and then that tree is done for. Right now, we still have time to trim all this away and pour some liquid copper fungicide inside here, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to give it a go. You know, it's a 50-50 at this point. You know, it may make it, it may not, but to me, I love this tree so much that it's definitely worth the little bit of effort that this takes to make this happen. So I'm gonna grab my solution. And you can see I'm gonna go right to that middle, because what I'm hoping is that there's something still alive in that middle. Drench it really good and protect it from now on out. So that way, if there's a little bit of a crown left, we're gonna get that, I would say, in the next month or two. So high hopes for this. Keep your fingers crossed for this, you guys. With the next tree, I'm gonna share with you the same kind of cutting fashion, but this is a different kind of style of tree, so maybe hopefully this will help you guys with that particular variety. All right, you guys, so we're here in front of my Penanga coronata. You all know how I feel about this tree. It is a specimen in my garden. It's only been here for a little over a year, so it's really been treated poorly in this situation. But you'll notice that these fronds, unlike the loqualas that we just looked at, these fronds are a little tighter to the base, which means these little petals that you have here are closer and more compact. So these are going to offer even more protection. So I'm going to leave most of the frond intact that's closest to the center, the crown of the tree. So again, I'm going to hit this with some spray. So I'm not transferring anything to any other palm tree. Okay, so this one you can see it's completely brown. It's not offering anything. Fortunately, I don't see any kind of fungus or any kind of issue, probably because it was sprayed and treated prior to the frost and then treated right after the frost. So I'm gonna take that guy all the way back down to the bottom. These we do not need. These are only gonna hold bacteria at this point. They're not offering any nutrients to the tree. These, even though they're lower on the palm, have green on them. That's enough green to supply some energy to the tree. These to the back here do not. All right, you guys. So this tree, now I get this question a lot. You can see that we still have color here. We still have green. We have some yellowing, but we definitely have some green here. So I'm going to keep as much of this as I can. You can see where the brown starts to meet the green. I'm going to want to open this up so we have some air flowing on this tree. I'm going to go ahead and take that top section off. This top section is completely brown. This center frond here is not it's not green. It's offering no benefit to the tree. So I'm going to go ahead and take that off and left what was remaining at that point. So same situation here. I'm going to kind of come to the top here and remove what really isn't offering any benefit. Now, this frond, it might be really hard for you guys to see, so I'm going to open this up a little bit. This is the center. Even though this tree has multiple trunks to it, each one has a center crown. This is the center crown. This is the one that's opening up. Unfortunately for me, this is brown. I mean, I might see a little bit of light yellow in here, but overall it's brown, which more than likely this was kind of producing a spike prior to the frost. And this is what we have left over. You know, it got burnt and when it was really young and really fragile. So I'm really hoping that the lower section that hasn't come out yet, as this starts to pop out, that this bottom that's down here will start to come out, and that's nice and green. So that's going to supply energy to the tree. But I have the other branch right behind us that has a very similar situation where the spike is brown. Now, right now, these, you can tell these are doing a great job on Penangas, on Cabata palms, on Areca palms, any of these trees that have this kind of close proximity of coverage around the crown of the tree. You want to leave these in place. You want to take out anything brown that's not going to contribute. Like this guy is gone, the top. But you notice I left this middle section that's kind of protecting the tree. So think of a splint. You kind of want to take off anything that could potentially protect this center tree area from getting any kind of damage during a windstorm or falling leaves. I mean, so much of that, you'll realize you'll pop out, it's green, and then one day it's lying over like this because it just got damaged at its weakest state. So that is the goal. Okay, and so I'm going to do the same step as I did for the other two. I'm going to hit this with some liquid copper. Now, I've sprayed this tree before, but this is what it looks like when you drench the tree. I like to spray bigger palms because it's very hard to pour like this, but if a lot of you guys do not have the spray, this is another way to do it. You're just going to have to be a little bit more careful in doing so. You can see why I prefer the spray over the drench, but I thought this might be a good example for you guys on some of these smaller palms. All right, so let's go check out the front palm tree. All right, you guys, so I went ahead and trimmed this tree so you can kind of see the aftermath of this whole thing. This is a palm tree, which is, you guys know this is my triple bottle. I know, she looks horrendous. She's not in a very good state right now. However, she is alive, which is a great thing. I went ahead and trimmed all of those lower fronds. It has not collapsed on itself. You can see that the upper fronds are still holding their own, which is fantastic. But you'll notice that the fronds that are around the spear of the tree, I went ahead and left those in place, even though they're brown. Now, I could cut this one off right here if I wanted to, but right now it's so nice and tight and close to this center. I want to do nothing to harm it, or nothing, any kind of wall, any kind of buffering that you can do to protect this middle section. You can leave these two fronds. Now, I had a lower one here and a lower one here, and you can see that those are gone because they really didn't offer a lot of coverage. This one had pretty much broken and collapsed, or else if it was nice and tight like this, I would have left a part of this frond. And if you come over here, you can really see the same situation happening here. This little trio of fronds I've went ahead and left in place. Now, if they collapse on themselves, and that does happen a lot, or they're broken, just leave what's immediate here, just like you saw on the other two trees. Go ahead and leave, just cut at this point here, leaving a few inches of coverage around this tree. And when I say that, it could be, if it's a small tree, it could be 4 to 6 inches that you're leaving of that frond. If it's a larger palm like this here, it could be a foot of it. You know, you just kind of keep in mind what you're doing is creating a buffering, a cage around that particular center trunk. So I got some great questions this morning that I woke up to, and that's the reason why I wanted to do today's video. The main question was from Debbie, and she had said, you know, if I have self-cleaning palms like foxtails and Christmas palms, what do I do? Do I do the same kind of concept? Do I remove those fronds, or do I let them self-clean? At this point, your tree's in a weakened state. It's going to push out energy to try to self-clean, but it's not going to. So you're going to need to assist the trees with that. So that goes whether you have a tree that you have to prune or self-cleaning tree. I would go ahead and get rid of those fronds at this point, because keep in mind, we're trying to help that new crown come out. If you've got some green, or if you've got something coming out of the center, it is a super, super good sign that your tree is battling back. It is trying to make it. So everything that you're going to do at this point is to help that tree do just that. So protect it where you can, trim everything else off to kind of really relieve any kind of stress on the tree, and then know that you've done everything that you can. That liquid copper will do its job of helping that tree and the bugs not to attack it at this point, or any kind of bacterial infection that might be looming, you're gonna knock that guy right out of there with that liquid copper. So, you know, please take those actions, because that's the best way to ensure that you're not over pruning your trees and you're protecting them once they're done. And I'm going to show you one last example back here just behind us. So I have gotten a lot of people saying that, you know, it's time, you should probably just go ahead and trim all the brown off of your fronds, just eliminate them entirely, because they're really not helping your tree. And in some situations that is the case, especially if the leaf is broken and collapsed. You don't want to put any more pressure on your tree. That's absolutely necessary. But this is a frond that was right here. Everything was brown on this tree right here when I trimmed it. What I did is I trimmed all the outskirts of the fronds that were kind of brown that I could see, and left the center tree protected. Now that I've done that, and this has only been in the last couple weeks that this has started to come out green, out from the center, it's coming out green. This tree was literally all brown just a few weeks ago. So you guys, I've got a bottle palm in the front that I thought for sure had ate it. For sure it was gone. But it has got a new spike coming out of the center of it. So these trees are resilient. Spray, treat them, make sure that they're not getting attacked from inside, and then trim off what is not necessary, and you're gonna be surprised what comes back. So, so this is one example of kind of keeping this protected. And now look at this beautiful green growth. I'm gonna hit it right now with some liquid copper to protect it even further as these fronds start to open up and come out. And then you can see that most of this frond is dead, but new growth is coming out. So this is new hope for this tree. I hope this video helps you guys. I hope it helps clear things up. If you have other questions, you know, sometimes I gleam through these questions and I, you know, want to address them quickly and try to get as much information out there as possible. And sometimes I miss a couple things because I'm human. So if there's anything in particular that you're like, okay, that kind of pertains to me, but could you address this more? Leave it in the comments. I am happy to do a Q&A video and address some of these things, especially if I see these comments coming in on the regular like I did this morning. It prompted me out to come out here on Sunday, shoot this video for you guys, because the goal is just have all of us to have success. That way we're coming into the summer, we're excited about our gardens again. You know, this is a terrible thing that happened, but it's a fixable thing for a lot of cases. So anytime that you can arm yourself with this information, just kudos that you guys are out there searching online and trying to get this done. So, so please reach out to me. I'd be happy to do a video on some of your questions. All right, true gardeners, take care. I will see you next weekend in the next video.